4:52 in the morning when the van stops. You don't know where you are. You weren't supposed to know. That was explained to you 6 weeks ago in a government building with no signage by a man who never gave you his name, who slid a single sheet of paper across a table and told you to read it, memorize it, and hand it back. You did. And now you're here, wherever here is, stepping out of a blacked-out vehicle onto gravel in the dark, wearing civilian clothes, carrying nothing except a laminated card with a 9-digit number on it. This is your first day at level 1. The guard at the outer perimeter doesn't speak to you. He scans your card, looks at your face for a long time, and points at a building that looks like a maintenance shed. Inside the shed, there's a door. Behind the door, there are stairs.
You count 14 steps before you reach the next checkpoint. Another guard. Another scan. Another face held in silence for 3 full seconds before you're waved through.
You are a perimeter guard. That's what your file says. Your job is to stand at post 7, which is the farthest outpost from the facility's core, and watch a fence line for 8 hours. You do not carry a radio that receives. You carry one that transmits, and only on one frequency, and only with a code word that you were told to use if you see a human being within 200 meters of the outer wire. The code word is Kingfisher. You have been told that if you ever use it, you will be extracted within 90 seconds. You have been told this like it is reassuring. It isn't. The first week, nothing happens. You watch the tree line, you watch the sky. Twice a day, a different guard relieves you, and you go to the mess, eat whatever is on the tray, and sleep in a bunk room
with 3 other men who don't introduce themselves and who you eventually stop trying to greet. On the 4th day, one of them looks up from his food and says, quietly, "Don't try to figure out what's below level 2. You nod. He goes back to eating. That's the most anyone speaks to you for 11 days. Then the promotion comes. It arrives as a number change on your card and a new set of stairs. Now you go deeper. Now you are support staff, level 2, and your job has texture and motion to it. You manage supply requisitions. You're responsible for the inventory of 3 storage rooms, 2 of which you can access, 1 of which requires a second person's keycard to open, and inside which you have never been and are not authorized to ask about. You restock the medical bay twice a week. You meet briefly the facility. You learn things by proximity, not by being told. You learn that the core facility runs on a 22-hour operational cycle, not a 24-hour one. You learn this because the meal schedules are off and the lighting changes don't match any clock you've ever tracked. You learn that there are people in this facility who you will never see, because they exist on a clearance layer below whatever floor you currently have access to, and whatever is happening to them, or whatever they know, or whatever they are, is not your. This is where surveillance lives. You sit in a room with 12 screens, and you monitor feeds from every camera in the facility, including the ones on the floors above you and the ones on the floor below. You are not supposed to think too hard about what you see on that lower floor. You do. There is a room at the bottom of the camera grid. A room with no number designation, just a color. Grey. The grey room contains a table and 2 chairs, and a third object that you cannot identify from the camera angle. The camera in the grey room feeds to your station, but is marked with a small red asterisk in the monitoring software, which means it logs but does not alert, which means you're not required to watch it actively, which means someone designed this system so that the person watching everything could, technically, not watch that.
You watch it. The man who sits across the table in the grey room changes every few weeks. The person sitting with him never does. You begin to build a picture from fragments, from the way the technical operator beside you reacts to certain call codes, from the supply requisitions you still remember from level 2, specific chemicals, specific pharmaceuticals, specific dietary supplements that are not listed under any standard medical protocol. You don't say what you're thinking out loud. You write nothing down. This is not a place where putting things on paper goes unnoticed. You sign it. Level 4 is where you stop sleeping the same way. The intelligence officer role is not what you imagined it would be. You imagined something kinetic. Decisions made under pressure, information extracted with urgency. The reality is slower and more disorienting. Most of your work is preparation. You study a person for weeks before you meet them. You read their file, their behavioral analysis, their dietary preferences, their psychological profile.
The notes from every prior session. By the time you walk into the grey room, you know them in a way they cannot know themselves. You know the name they use when they're afraid. You know which specific formulation of loneliness makes them talkative. You use this knowledge with precision. You don't raise your voice. You don't threaten. Threatening is level 3 work. It's blunt. It's inefficient. What you do is subtler and stays with you longer. You build trust in a controlled space with a person who has no other options, and you harvest from that trust everything the operational chain has tasked you to extract. And then you write a report, and then someone above you reads that report, and then the person in the grey room is either moved or they're not, and you do not ask which. You don't ask. The question you stop being able to suppress is not a moral question. You left that kind of question behind somewhere around level 2, when you first saw the pharmaceutical inventory. The question that keeps you awake is more structural. It's this: who decides what a closed case means? You know your chain. You report to one person. That person reports upward. The person at the top of your visible chain is the site director, and you have seen the site director once, from a distance, in a corridor, walking in the direction of a door that you are not cleared for and have never seen open. That door is level 5. You understand now that level 5 is not a place you get promoted to. It's a place you get assigned to, or you don't. And there is no application and no interview and no envelope. One morning, it simply becomes part of your access. You scan your card at the door that you have walked past for 8 months, and the light goes green, and the lock clicks. The room behind it is not what you expected. You expected hardware. You expected the operational heart of the facility: servers, communications, command infrastructure. What you find is quieter than that. It's an office, a modest office. 2 chairs, a desk, a window that shows nothing because it's a screen made to look like a window, currently displaying a grey winter sky that might be footage from anywhere in the world. The site director is already there. He doesn't stand when you enter. He gestures at the chair across from him the way the people in the grey room used to gesture at the chair across from them. And you sit. And you notice that you have become, without fully realizing it,
one of the people in the grey room.
He tells you your new function. It's not operational. It's evaluative. Your job at level 5 is to assess the personnel below you, their reliability, their psychological stability, their discretion. You are being asked to monitor the monitors, to watch the watchers, to be the system's immune response to its own potential failures. He explains this calmly, using the same half-language you learned at level 3, and as he speaks, you understand something that you could not have understood from any lower floor.
The facility is not designed to produce intelligence. That is what it does, but it's not what it's for. What the facility is for, what the whole layered system of clearances and staircases and unsigned documents is for, is to produce people who cannot leave. Not physically. You can walk out, but you carry it with you now, all of it, from the pharmaceutical inventory to the grey room, to the things you wrote in those reports, and the document you signed on page 2, and the knowledge of what a closed case means, and the face of the man who told you something on the 7th session that wasn't in his file.
You carry all of it, and the system knows you carry it. And that is precisely why you're sitting in this chair, on this floor, looking at a screen made to look like a window, about to become the person who decides who gets to move up and who gets quietly, procedurally, permanently handled. The director slides a folder across the desk. Your name is on the tab. He tells you that it's your file. He tells you that he's giving it to you because at level 5, there are no more secrets from you. You open it. The last page is a form, pre-filled. It's already signed. Your signature is on it. You don't remember signing it. You close the folder. You look at the screen window. The grey sky outside it doesn't move, doesn't change. It's on a loop, you realize. It's been on a loop this whole time. Welcome to the site, the director says. He says it like it's the first time anyone has ever said it to you. It isn't.